Tene tatanda cerdo richunge den jansola tatanda ye lam devo sum ye benane da ye leuti rela lamje leuti iba lamje leuti rela tene tela ya tumo dong tumo ma imbe tawa chebra de cheba ni ye benane tumo ma imba 다 오마 옌동게 따와 체버도 헤바티게 콘소 요바레라 테네 데나네 다단다 당보니 휴센네 숨바 남도 주니 지소네 남친제 바르도 남도 주니 지소 주니 제 zogne namchinje pardo sumbi rongtong le yembe tandam trupsul tati tomba chomba mayimba je trupa ke tsulde tatanda taringa kapsala hyarela tini tatela sachi jo yabare sachi nansi ki jo yabarela te nane tangbo namda chuni ji su ndorten se ta tangbo namda chuni ji zo ne namchin je parto so zo ne namchin je parto se na ta tanda ngara zo hira je parto simbe hira nimbu ndo ino ne zo je pumbo sorwe pumbo duhi je pumbo duji je pumbo namra hibe pumbo de pumbo nga 대지에서 조지진지 다이진지 맥기진지 나외진지 나이진지 라소바 진지 주니 대지에서라 조지칸라소바 컴좁지 데네 마리파동 드지라소바 텐들 주니 데네 동할동 근종동 고발라소바 람제 덴바 데네 다 대지에서 토파동 마토파 네 대지스 히라지 바루도 쯤발라 때네 남친 조부송지 점된데지 공ponto 바데 다텔라 존네 남친지 바르도 숭게요라 데네 다디 존네 남친지 바르지 추탐지 다 히라지 바루도 쯤반도 예농도 데네 다데 탐지 동바임바다 탐지 넘버 딱바임바 송아레 rela tene de number takwa imbe cherna de yang tene denji on de chena dong ye da bu ji ye ba tene da de da bu ge cherdo de cherdo ji ba do ji ge dong da sa shambang gam bola so pe jong de tar do song yo re se ne da de ge zu ne nam chin je par ji chu tham ji la dong yi hi ba je ye ba ta ma re.
In our discussion of the mountain Dharma, the ocean of certainty, there are three main sections, the ground path and result. And of these three, we are currently in the discussion of the second, the path. And that discussion of the path has the particular discussion of the common view and the particular discussion of the uncommon view. And so here we are in the midst of the particular discussion of the uncommon view of the other empty, the Shentong. And so what we will start out with today is we have come to the section which is about how how the that teaches that teaches that the utterly pure form of the Dharma nature up to the utterly pure omniscience are other than the self empty. And this is a section this is basically saying that the utterly pure form and so forth are not just mere emptiness. And so this is discussed in 10 different points. And of these 10 different points, the first of these is teaching what the utterly pure form of the Dharma nature and so forth is. And so here, when we say from form up to omniscience. We talk about everything from form up to omniscience. What is that we're talking about? Well, in the sutras of the Prajnaparamita, such as in the Heart Sutra, we talk about the different types of phenomena. We say that there is the aggregate of form, the aggregate of feeling, the aggregate of conception, the aggregate of formation, the aggregate of consciousness. In that way, we have the 5 aggregates. Following that, then there are the sense base of the eye, the sense base of the nose, the sense base of the ear, the sense base of the nose, the tongue, and so forth. There are the 12 different sense bases. And then after those, there are the 18 different elements, or in Sanskrit, dhatus. Oh, I should say the sense bases in Sanskrit is ayatana. And so then there are the 12 ayatanas, or sense bases. Then there are the 18 elements, or dhatus. And then then there are the links of interdependence from ignorance and formation, etc., up to aging and death. And then after that, there is the truth of suffering, the truth of origin, the truth of cessation, the truth of path, the 4 noble truths, and all the way so forth. And then there is attainment, non-attainment, and so forth, and everything up to then, because of the transcendent full knowing, because of Prajnaparamita, we are then able to attain omniscience. And so this is everything from form up to omniscience, or in short, everything, nothing left out. And so when we say form up to omniscience, that is all phenomena. And this is saying that all of these phenomena are empty. And so in the Prajnaparamita Sutras, it primarily teaches that they are emptiness. And that is what is meant by saying that they are pure. The utterly pure form is that emptiness. And so by saying that they're utterly pure, it is saying that they're empty, but it is also pointing out that there is a basis for the emptiness. And so that basis for the emptiness is present there. And so this is taught from the teachings from the Hevajra Tantra and from the teachings of the 5 Dharmas of Maitreya and so forth. And so these all teach that there is a basis for the emptiness.
Tene tateya number topic sulti tanda tene kapndersona yom jepenando yom jepambungenando songyo tene zu number topic chorwa number topic duhi number topic tene kanga number topic rangyin jingje songyo arela zu ne namchinje parje tene teya hindo jepa tene chitang tanda bom jeba tela pot juni yebenane tene ta pot ka nga cha nya rimba hindu yebenane ta pot jabenala tene jabenam da se tene zo number ta be chorwa number ta indu hi number ta ba se tene ma jabenam da se yora la ta di den te zo karire se na number ta be ye tene deoriki binimbo yepar tembate ta kamdar sunare sonne tene namchinje part jarni sonjore son tembare.
The way that everything is utterly pure is described in the Great Mother, in the Extensive Mother, that is the 100,000 verse sutra on the Prajnaparamita. And so this talks about how form is utterly pure. And because form is utterly pure, there's feeling. Feeling is utterly pure, so there is conception. Conception is utterly pure, so there is formation, and so forth and so on, all the way up to omniscience. And so this is saying that they are by nature utterly pure. They have an utterly pure nature. And so this goes all the way up from everything, all the way up from form, all the way up to omniscience. And it's discussed very extensively in great detail. The 100,000 line sutra on Prajnaparamita has 12 volumes, and so there's the volume Ka, ga, nga, and so forth. There are these 12 different volumes, and so this is taught in the volume called Ja. So, so in the volume Ja, it is said that it's called the volume Ja about complete purity. And so it says that form is utterly pure, feeling is utterly pure, formation is utterly pure, form, feeling, conception is utterly pure, formation is utterly pure, consciousness is utterly pure, and so forth and so on, all the way, saying that all of these are utterly pure, all the way up to omniscience. And so what is the meaning here of saying that they are utterly pure? It is saying that there is a basis for this utter purity, and that basis is the Buddha nature, and that is what is being taught here. And so here it is teaching that everything from form up to omniscience has this basis, the Buddha nature.
Tene ta te jeso tanda te ta chuni jizo. Tene number tapa yebe junsen temparella. Tene ti chuni gizo te chuni number tapa te ta sachi niba te ngodong songho doji te patang jarware. Songho doji te patang jarwa te la ta tin chitang sachi number jobji yor. Sachi number job desin number jobji yor. Desin number jobji yebe na ne kashi songho doji te pa mare. Inaya par chewa te songho doji te pa la. Te no ne ta tanda tene number top chuni ji pumbo nga ta tangbo pumbo nga te. Songho doji te pa na ne kare song yore se na number takpa te yihi nga. Yihi nga te ta kasen shubare. Tanda chuchi yenji yihi. Tene melon tabu yihi. Sosur topu yihi. Nyambaniji yihi. Shawatubu yihi. Yihi namba nga. Yihi namba nga te ta chitang ndo ni jong. Ngedan jong dodi tamchi ni jong ten yor. Songho doji tipi kasala yung ten yor. Re te yinaya yihi nga te charwe ki cholla yang te chi ndo da nga ni teni sabchi ki chebar yor. Ndo ni yihi nga tsam temparela. Songho doji tipa ni yihi nga te jarwa rik nga yin nambar tapa, jarwa rik nga yin namba la tempare. Jarwa rik nga se na teni rinpa hindu tanda yidamje laye longche zopu koi namba teni tanda chuji inji hijingo de number nongzi. Tene melon tabi hijingo de mijepa, manchupa, mijepa. Tene sosortobi hijingo, nyambaniji hijingo de tene rinchen de. Sosortobi hijingo de gapa me. Tene jawatubi hijingo de tenyatupa de. Tene yihi nga de jarwa rik nga. 다 이당 삼지 저 되는 jarwari ngai ngor yu pare la jarwari ngai ngor yu pare.
So that teaches the form of the Dharma nature and how that is utterly pure, the reasons for it being utterly pure. And so here, the utter purity, this teaches the utter purity of the Dharma nature. And then the second section is teaching the same thing, but from the perspective of mantra, from the perspective of the secret mantra Vajrayana. And here, this section teaching from the secret mantra Vajrayana has 18 different points in it, and some of these 18 points are not actually the secret mantra Vajrayana, but most of them are secret mantra Vajrayana. And so in these points, what's taught first is that the utterly pure Dharma nature of the 5 aggregates. That is what's taught. The 5 aggregates of the utterly pure Dharma nature. And so in the secret mantra Vajrayana, how are these taught? Well, the utter purity is taught to be the 5 wisdoms. Now, we discussed the 5 wisdoms yesterday. There is the Dharma nature wisdom. There is the mirror-like wisdom, there is the discriminating wisdom, the wisdom of equality, and the all-accomplishing wisdom. So these are the 5 wisdoms, and these are taught both in the sutras and in the tantras. In the sutras, they are taught in the sutras that teach the definitive meaning, and they are also taught in the secret mantra Vajrayana. But while they're taught in both the sutras and in the secret mantra Vajrayana, the way they appear in the 2 is a little bit different. In the sutras, they are taught primarily as just the 5 wisdoms, straight as the 5 wisdoms. But in the mantras, they are taught as the 5 lords of the 5 families, the 5 Jnani Buddhas, they're called. And so when we talk about, well, these 5 lords of the 5 families, what do we mean by them, these 5 Buddhas? Well, these are the essences of all the yidams that reside in the form of the enjoyment body. It's a Sambhogakaya. And so the essence of the Dharma nature is Vairochana. The essence of the mirror-like wisdom is Akchobhya. The essence of the wisdom of equality is Ratnasambhava. The essence of discriminating wisdom is Amitabha. And the essence of the all-accomplishing wisdom is Amoghasiddhi. And so in this way, there are the 5 wisdoms and the 5 Buddhas. And so these 5 Buddhas are like the way the essences of the Yidam deities are.
Tene ta te yang ihi nga te jalwa rik nga tsam mahimba. Jalwa rik nga te yang tene mada bedne kapso pumbo nga ne churpa ngore la. Tene pumbo nga te zukji pumbo nambar taba te nambar nongze. Tsorwe pumbo nambar taba te rinchen jungde. Dushi je pumbo nambar taba te nongwan taye. Dushi je pumbo nambar taba te tenye churpa. Number hibe pumbo nature bate tene tanda number hibe pumbo nature bate mejeba te tate pumbo nga mata penneka so pumbo nga ta penneka so tene jalwari nga ye number yuba tate tembarela.
And so these 5 wisdoms are the 5 Buddhas, but it's not just that. In their impure aspect, they are the 5 aggregates that are transformed. And so when the aggregate of form is transformed, it becomes Vairochana. When the aggregate of feeling is transformed, it becomes Ratnasambhava. When the aggregate of conception is transformed, it becomes Amitabha, or infinite light. When the aggregate of formation is transformed, it becomes Amoghasiddhi. And when the aggregate of consciousness is transformed, it becomes Akchobhya. And so in this way, in the impure stage, we have the 5 different aggregates. But during the pure stage, then they take the form of the 5 Buddhas. So that is what is taught here.
Tene ta te tabo ta ihi te senji tangji senji jela yu yebe junsen da bote. Ta te tsamdo mazi chitang pumbo nga jalwari nga rela. Tene te yendo ombo nga mei nawa na ji lu la soba shongju semba chimbo ji ji namba ta bote. Tene tsei yul zu da te ro riza de 다데 칸도 체플하모도 zu도제마도 다도제마라 소바 데네 단다 종주 셈바다 종주 셈마 데네 데야 사지 이변난도 데네 온봉아데 종주 셈바 침보 제임바 데네 다디게 사지 숨변난도 데네 다 주다 테로리잘라 소바데 칸로마 독 랑히진 임바 tene ta tetabu yiram jalatsu impala tene sachi yebata ngabata trukpa tinjuge tene yiram jalatsu ke nambala tembare.
So that wisdom is something that is present within the minds of all sentient beings. But not only that, so the 5 aggregates are the 5 Buddhas, but we also have the 5 five. Ompo nga, rebe. Ompo nga.
Ompo
Niki
nga.
ompo.
Ompo nga.
Ola, so it's the five. I'm forgetting the word in English. I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. The five elements, or the five sense faculties. Yes, that's it. The five sense faculties in English: the faculty of the eye, the faculty of the ear, the faculty of the nose, the faculty of the tongue, and the faculty of the body. And so these five sense faculties, when they're purified, become the 8 great bodhisattvas. Not only that, the external form, external sound, and external scent, external taste, and so forth, when they are transformed, they all become the form Vajri. Vajri is the feminine form of Vajra. The form Vajri, the sound Vajri, the scent Vajri, and so forth. They become the female Vajras of these elements. And so in this way, we have the great male bodhisattvas, and we have the great female bodhisattvas, and so that are naturally present. And so in the second section, the second point here is that the 5 sense faculties become the 8, transformed into the 8 bodhisattvas. And then the third section teaches that that form and so forth are transformed into the dakini of form, the dakini of sound, and so forth. And then in the 4th, 5th, and 6th sections, what is taught is that the assembly of all, that there also is the assembly of all of the Yidam deities.
Tene ta te yang sachi nipani sachi tangbodan nipani zongde dumba partala ta yiram jalai namba riri yendol moda beng nongwa tangji yiram jalai namba imbal sunga rela tene te yang tanda ta ngaran su sunga doji tibi chu nyamlin nang kapsula tene kani hiepa zama imba ngus tene tongya ieba tene te yang tanda jerdo tanda 다 발투진 콜루게 곰바타르도 시에나 제르도 이람젤라이 제렘당 데네 이람젤라이 조렘 남바니 요아렐라 데네 이람젤라이 제렘 감바캅슬라 데네 당고 데네 발투진 콜루게 야에콩 데네 냠렌시네 야에콩 데네 고송투 지정코로 드니 대화진 비정코로 넘버 2 드니 데레레라야 드니 조 드니 다 디체블라모다 송주 선바침보다 드니 데조리리 연도를 정코로 지난도 감 드니 대남 줍 대남 지상농 중화다 드니 대지슬라 조렘가 온드세나 조르와이엔라 줍세다 조르와이엔라 줍노네 감기 와랄라 조르와이엔라 줍대야 드니 디게 단다 니틱당 문틱 넘버 2 드니 니틱세나 니메웨제르 게 추라 왜게 추라 따와다 문틱세나 문화가난도 따니 드니 다텔라 노아 카리샤르기 와르세나 동주 드니 당보 제 뜸바게 손다보 제 드니 다 대지슬라 드니 도와게 손다보다 드니 림비 노아 만다와 샤르네 드니 예람잘라에 고 샤르주에 바제다 드니 나란서 드니 조바침부게 로라 조바침부 태갈 클람 드니 대야 지당게 온드세나 제름게 온드세나 간디 다 지당게 냠네 망보 구르르무지 냠네 라소바 망보 요레데 조원다보텔라 드니 히트로 담바레 자이 남발라 곰 드니 히트로 담바레 자이 남발라 곰바데야 드니 테 림바인돌라 드니 닝갈라 히와이 주타니 드니 림발라 다바린진 하초 드니 지오라 드니 트루라초 바르와 트루라초 데나 감네 드니 루지난도 감 까까라 야이 콩고노도 감네 제레미야 타바중알라 데네 드니 당보 티치 감 티치 지팅엔zen 감 드니 데이지스 태걸게 팅엔zen 감낭리 와레
So in this way, the first, second, and all the other sections up to the seventh teach how the impure appearances can become the form of can become the body, or take the aspect of the body of the deity. And when we do the practice of the secret mantra Vajrayana, this is not just something that we say with our mouths. It's something that we actually can actually see. There's something actually to see there. And here it is taught primarily in terms of the meaning of the Kalachakra. When we do the practice of the Kalachakra Tantra, we have the creation phase of the Yidam deity, and then we also have the completion phase. There are these two different parts. And in the creation phase, we first meditate about the palace of Kalachakra, and then within that we meditate on the mandalas of the body, speech, and mind of Kalachakra, and then the mandala of great bliss, and then all the offering goddesses, all of the great bodhisattvas, and all of the mandalas within there. And so we practice this, and we practice this until we gain real clear appearance of this. And then when we come to the completion phase, then there are these 6 branches of the completion phase, and we meditate upon these 6 branches of the completion phase. And in these 6 branches, first there are the instructions about sun practice, and then there are practices about the darkness practice. And so for the first one, for the sun practices, you look at the light of the sunlight, and then for the practice of the darkness practice, you sit in absolute darkness and you practice, and then and you look to see what you see. And there are various different appearances that eventually happen. So what is it that appears? Well, first of all, there is like the form of clouds that appears, and then it becomes sort of like smoke. And then there are all these different appearances that happen, and then eventually the Yidam deity will actually arise. Similarly, in the practice of Dzogchen, they primarily do the practice of Tugal, or Tugal is the sudden leap. So here in the Dzogchen, during the creation phase, they don't do Kalachakra, but rather they do various different, they don't primarily do the Kalachakra, they do many different practices, including Guru Rinpoche practices and other practices, but the main practice that they do is the practice of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. And so here you visualize the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities within the body. And so in the heart center, you visualize that there are the 42 peaceful deities. In your throat, you visualize that there is the pure mandala of the riktsins, of the awareness holders. And then in the crown of your head, you visualize the mandala of the wrathful deities. And so these all appear within the body, and you visualize them. You can visualize the palace, and in this way you practice the development phase. And then following the development phase, they primarily do the practices of tekche, and then also the practice of tugal. So tekche is the cutting through, and tugal is the sudden leap. And these are the main meditations they do.
Tene ta te tabo ta perna pal tuchin kolugo ne jorwa yenla to guting en komna yan ra tene tanda zopa chimbugo ne tanda tögal guting en komna yan ra ti ta ti ge tangbo tene tilela so ba char tene te je so la yiram jala ye namba char tupa yungi yorela ti char tupa ti junsin de kandri ji resena tene zo rangla tene tanda yiram jala tinzu ngorabu yoyaba tene te dewarhi bin himbu ngotabula yoyaba dewarhi bin himbu yihirege nonchala tene te charju yaba tabaje rela tene junsin teacher na tene te uma Rangtong pe toni jong yin na tene chaya ge yeyo mare chutonji tomba ni re jian chaya yo 제용 샤야요 말에데 이나야 다 대답을 농자만라와 샤야요 봐도 농자만라와 지야요 봐 다디 자와데 가나 두기요 아래세나 드니 데워히 비힘보 예빨라데니 용게요 봐 Dewarhi bin himbo yapa la tene yonya te ya, tene dewarhi bin himbo yapa te, netsul te yapo je, to goba yinbe chirna. Tene tanda, tene oma yentongpe rikpa tang long go ne drupare la. Te oma yentongpe long tong rikpe go ne madrup na, tene yiram jala tenzu nongcha te hyarwe ge ye, tene rang la yihi chenpo te yupa te, yang na ngoporin zamba. Tene ngunzin rabo je che ya segre la. Yang na ngumi zamba, ngumi ta mepa lan zamba. Tene te ni jen ta le ndepe yihi te gen nongcha te hyarju yaba yinpe cherna. Tene perna saraha ge. Ngoporin zamba chodong rawa te ngumi zamba tewe kyong na lain se. Tene ngoporin zayna ta ngopotang jing chutang jing ngoporin zayna tene pe bajun rabo, longon rabo, tene pe kupa res. Tene ta te ngumi dinzina tele kupa res. Tene teacher na ten rabun zinya yo mara ten ta ta chalwa yang takpa jayi ta nga rang tsuga nyamsu nyong tongpo koi ge ten la pap. Tene tama te gombe nyamsu len gu ge yo ware la te gu ge chana tene oma yen tongpa tawa te pe kal che ge yo ware.
So whether we're doing the meditation on Kalachakra and the creation phase of Kalachakra and the 6 applications of his completion phase, or whether or not we're doing the Dzogchen practices of Tugal, what happens is that at first we see little drops, and then these little drops grow, and then eventually it may be possible to actually see the Yidam deity. So it may actually be possible to see the Yidam deity. And what is the reason for this? The reason for this is that the essence of the Yidam deity is within ourselves. It is present within ourselves. The essence of the Buddha nature is present within ourselves. And this has an appearance, there's the possibility that this can have the aspect of appearances. And so that Buddha nature has the aspect of appearances that can appear as these Yidam deities. If we were talking about the middle way tradition of the self-empty, where they say that it's just mere emptiness, and there's no room for any appearances, then there'd just be emptiness and nothing would happen at all. But here we have the aspect of there is the appearing aspect that happens, and we can see it. And the root of that aspect of appearances is in our Buddha nature. And so because we have that Buddha nature, we are able to see it. And so it is within the Buddha nature is present, but the way that so we need to really understand well. We need to completely realize the way that it is present. And so that is why it is here all of the logic and all of the scriptures about the Shentong are presented. If we do not really prove that it exists through all these logic and scriptures, then we would not really understand what the basis of all this appearance is. We would wonder what the basis of the appearance is. And either we think that there was some sort of a real thing that was there. We'd be grasping at some sort of a thing, or we think that there was sort of nothing that it was the appear, but a non-thing or a non-compound thing. And so here when we say a non-thing, we mean just nothing, that it just comes out of nothing. But actually there are these appearances of wisdom that do happen. This is as the great meditator Saraha said. Clinging to things is as stupid as a cow. Clinging to nothing is even stupider than that. And so here, if you cling to things, then you are as stupid as some sort of an ox or a cow or something like that. But if you cling to there being nothing, then that is even far more stupid than that. And so here, we should not do that, but rather we should be free from all of these extremes so that we can come to experience it as it is. And so first we need to understand it. We need to understand the Shentong view, and then we need to practice the meditation of it. And that is why this view of the Shentong is so important.
Tene tatela tene chitange tatanda tene sine ta zopa chimbu tegal gambatan tene tejendo tanda jorwayen la tuk tene katita nakti ge menwa tenzo gambe kap tena la tene uma yentong pe tawa yang tabaji topa nishi chepra chenji chiba yang tabaji gogi yuare mato galti me na kate tene kangang jugi nyen kayong yuare tene perna huma ngalama chele thunyong la ti ge song na nga zopa chimbo tegal gam nyima la ti me ti chen shor so ta si borang thong yo mare tene suwa ti nyong la tene chen shor yong yong yo re te kare sina tawa number taba che to nyamni take number taba che me pa la tene yong yo re la tene te yendo ta tanda tene jai nguni tene oma yentong pa tawa yang taba che to ne ti nyamnyong ya po che che ne tene mbag nang to gam jap na pe kalwa sang po re te tene tawa number taba me yendo la mengkhong nong zu de na te ngarang do ta na yin ji ma to ta til gu ba ka ngarang la du ba ta tangwang rabuji mato te gu ba shiro yo ma re la teacher na tanda oma yentong pa tawa ten la pa pa te pe kalcham.
When we are doing the Dzogchen practices of Tugal and the 6 applications of Kalachakra, the looking at the sun and practicing in darkness, at the time that we're doing those practices, it is very important that we realize the Shentong view. It is very important that we are certain in the Shentong view and that we realize it fully and correctly. Because if we don't, then it will bring difficulties. A little while ago, or some time ago, I once met a lama. Oh, a long time ago, I met a lama, and this lama told me, "Oh, I did the Tugal practice, and I was looking at the sun, and I hurt my eyes, and now I can't see anything clearly. My eyes are all messed up." And so what is the reason for his eyes getting damaged in that way? The reason is that he did not have the right view. He did not have the right instructions. And so really it is very important to have the right view and the right instructions. It is very important to have this correct view of the Shentong. If we do have the right view of the Shentong and then we do meditate upon it, and then through meditating upon it, we will be able to come to some sort of an experience. I'm going to start that again. So if we have the right view of the Shentong, and then we meditate upon it, and then we develop some sort of an experience, if at that point we do the practice, the darkness practices or so forth, then it is really a very great fortune to be able to do that. But if we don't have that, it's only a way to hurt ourselves and cause ourselves more harm. And there's actually no need to do that in any way. And so that is why this understanding of the Shentong view is so critically important.
Tene ta te yendo ta tanda yentong ta te tabu nyamli nang kapsula jerto tene yishi ji nambalan charwa to koi nambalan charto nipa tene tanda dewariki binimbu te yu ye patem la ta ti gi hyardu ngarang gi hyaje la tene kasi ngaranso tene chuntin shunking ge lomaje ge sena lomaje ge twala tene te chitang ge tandi ge meseta tanjitin dala tatanda richu ngira jansu jangna pento kare yungre se twana rela tene tene te twati pe yapondo tela sarhi je gogo sambata boje changsonga tene tela karire se na tene tanda jerdo tangaranso thoma america la tambi chupen king ke zo de su chembare se na chujom tumbar ma chi chembare la tene chujom tumbar ma je pepe kapsula karin na wa de se na tene shambala training na re Shambhala training nang du tela tene kari nang se na tene tanda tene tanda tene Shambhala training nimbo ndabu dangwa zo ndabu de Shambhala training de gupa kari ki chedu sunwa re se na jirdo tan tartu go de se na tene ta tawa chebar jin ngambar zo par sangji pitan de sunwa re 내가 온데 세는 지팅지 컴데 대화 되니 다 공사 소설라야 대지단 담바 지지단 담바 분섬 줘봐 야고지 용하게 쳤더라 샴발라 트레이닝 나와라 되니 샴발라 트레이닝게 조 님본다보테 간데레세나 되니 베이직 굿네스 생기데 되니 송아래 드니 대 강가 공사 강가라 대 요래 체란서 뽀빠 협년가 말에 라 뽀빠지 그래 드니 센라 드니 블루단 센라 지지 그래 상네 드니 대 송요래라 되게 조 간데 뚜그 요르시나 대화기 빈힘 볼라 문좀
And so when we are doing this practice of the Shentong, when we're doing the practice of the Shentong view, there is the potential of things arising in the form of wisdom, of things arising in the form of the deity. And that potential is present within the Buddha nature. Now, yesterday, at the end of the Dharma session yesterday, someone asked a question, and this was really a very good question. And the question is that when we study this mountain Dharma, how can it possibly be helpful for us in our lives and in the world? What benefit will it bring? And this is actually an excellent question. It's a wonderful question, and so I thought I would like to explain it much more clearly. And so, why is it that we're talking about this? Well, first of all, when the Dharma began to spread in North America, the first person who spread the Dharma here was Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. And when Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche taught the Dharma here, he started teaching Shambhala training. And when you give Shambhala training, what is the point of Shambhala training? Well, what is the essence of the Shambhala training? What is the primary instructions that it gives? What is the primary purpose for doing it? Well, in terms of ultimate terms, of course, it is for us to develop the right views and be able to awaken to complete and perfect Buddhahood. But in the temporary term, it is to bring happiness to the world. It is to bring happiness to each and every individual. And it is so that each and every individual has their full glory. And so that is why the Shambhala training was started, why he did it. And so what is the basic teaching, the real essential teaching of Shambhala training? It is that all sentient beings have basic goodness. Basic goodness is something that is present within all sentient beings. Every sentient being has it. There is no reason to be discouraged in any way because we have it. And so because we don't need, and so we can be encouraged, we can be joyful or perky about this. and so this is a way so that we can really have a lot of glory in our body and mind. And what is this basic goodness? What do we mean by basic goodness? Well, we could identify basic goodness as just being Buddha nature.
Tene ta tela yang ngaranzo tene rangi ziji matupa. Tene rang ya yapuzo matupa. Ta tambi chugo on the sena yanda, jitinga on the sena yanda. Tene tela chen kani chog yore sena, tene chitang tene jigdo. Dabota popa hyom ne tini tanda ngaranzo tanda chenju la sopa le sona lelo jilu dani nyepe lelo sungi yorela jilu dani nyepe lelo sedu nga tapcha yi ngen jeng mari tini nga yapo mari sambatende chegi yorela ti gug mari ti gug junsen yo mari tene ngaran tabja mare ngaran tene tabdu tende kaya mare la te main pe junsin kandere sena tene tanda tambi chuju on tanda oma yentong beta on sena deorhi binibo shambala training on sena goodness that na yore tene te la tene ngarang ni chuchi goya kaya yo mar ngarang si tugre ngarang jengre ngarang yungre tene teacher na tene te pe zigi ke pata popa ke pata kal chimbo imate popa ke pata tagasi popa ke pe me pa ke la kaya me pa ke la nga popa ke gi dene popa ke dena til choyo mare te ina ya tende ke popa ke pe jyoti ngarang sol yore.
And so if we aren't really able to develop our own, I'm trying to remember the Shambhala words for this. What is it? Glory? Fearlessness? Is that what they say for CG? Authentic presence. Oh, okay. Oh, well, whatever. If we aren't, you all remember the words far better than I. If we can't develop our own sense of Rangtong, our own sense of authentic presence or glory, if we can't do that, then what, whether it is in terms of the Dharma or whether it is in terms of the world, what are the faults that might happen? Well, the basic problem that'll happen is that we might get afraid. We might then get really discouraged in our mind. In Shantideva's Way of the Bodhisattva, this is called the laziness of self-deprecating. This is the discouragement of the self-deprecating discouragement, and it's sort of thinking to yourself, "Oh man, I'm lousy, I'm bad." People say that the other way these days. I'm really terrible, aren't I? I can't do anything good. I'm no good at all. And so but actually there's no reason to say that. There's absolutely no reason to think to yourself, "Oh, I'm lousy, I'm bad." There's nothing lousy about you. There's no reason to say that you're lousy. If there were a basis to say that, if there were a reason to say that, yeah, I'm lousy, then okay, that would be fine. But there's absolutely no reason to say that I'm lousy. And why is that? It is in terms of the Shentong view, it is because we have Buddha nature. In terms of Shambhala training, it is because we have basic goodness. And so because of that, there's absolutely no reason to think, "Oh, I can't do that. It couldn't possibly turn out well. I'm not going to be able to do it." We can do things. We are able to do things. We can make things turn well. We do have this glory, this presence, authentic presence within us, and we can have this real confidence in ourselves. If there were no reason for us to have any confidence, then there wouldn't be any point to be confident at all. But we do have a reason to be confident, and there is the cause for confidence present within us.
Tene junsin teacher na tangaranso kajipege nani na tapu tarjin ta gombo je gombo pensepe lamrem tapu tarjin ke nando liu tambu ke nando kariten yore sena tene tatege jilu dani ipe lelo pompe ke chetola rich level deorhi binimbo te tene tanda tenchu chimbo jilam ke Longchenpa ni zosong ko na trosher tans la so pa ke Longchenpa ni deorhi binimbo yeba sem ke ten sem je on sena lu je on sena ngaran so popa hyom gu mare popa hyom nyeng mare talin jor job ji don den milurim bo ji yore lu dan sen nika ta punsom so pa tanda yore la tanda te ye pe kapla tini ngaran so tene jilu dani ni pe lelo sin ngarang ngarang la tene nye chu si ne dubutang gu bi jun sin kaya yo mare so ni te soare la tini te tagasi homba drabo je da tomba drabo je go ni so mare uni ngarang so la sem je tendo rikam dewar ki bi nimbo ye pata lu la tanjur job ji do de milurim bo ji ye pa la tene tene ta chu dan ji tin ke chawa 다 저 답을 다르진 게 나네 담비 주럽나 되네 담비 주럽 토픽 되네 누바다 뽑아야 받텔라 될라 송아라.
That's why in our Kagye teachings, in Gampopa's jewel ornament of liberation, the first thing that is taught in order to help us get rid of the laziness of self-deprecation, the discouragement of self-deprecation. And that first thing that is taught in the first chapter is the lineage Buddha nature. This is the chapter on the lineage or Buddha nature, and it gives citations from the Supreme Continuum, saying that because we are able to emanate the bodies of the Buddha, so it's basically, and so forth. It's basically, these are citations saying that all sentient beings have Buddha nature present. And so this is in terms of our minds. In terms of our bodies also, there's absolutely no reason to lose confidence. There is no reason to be discouraged about ourselves. And the reason is that we have this, we have the 18 leisures and freedoms of the precious human body. So we have the excellent human body. We have the excellent mind. And so because we have them, we do have them, and because of them, there is absolutely no reason for us to be discouraged about ourselves in other ways. There's no reason for us to criticize ourselves or be self-deprecating in any way at all. If this were a case of we are just being prideful and boastful in some sort of way, that wouldn't be beneficial in any way at all. But actually, within our mind, the lineage, the Buddha nature is present. We do have the bodies with the 18 leisures and freedoms. And because we have those, both in Dharma terms and in worldly terms, and in particular in the jewel ornament of liberation in terms of Dharma terms, there is absolutely no reason for us to be discouraged. We have the power, and we have a reason to have confidence.
Tene ta te ta tanda sachi damba yinji chuparela ta te jesu sachi jepatela yang desin ke on de siena desin nga yorela desin nga te ta tanda sonho doji tipilu khona mayimba ta tanda ndodan tumo tardo siete tenna rela tene ta tanda tela zo desin ta desin ipinane ta tera le ton ye coin tamji dendam je la dang ni je la so ba yusul si ta ti chu tamji tomba ni re de toni ge ye te la tene ta je yending number ga on de na yending number ga on de de or ki bi ni bo se tene ta tela tene ta teya tandan derga lai number sena ta ndoi on de sena ya lai number ta tingaran sol pen ta ba tong dungali chop ba tong dewal ngut nu ba tong tempa ti imbe chena lai ngo ta tene rani yang ta pa ji imba la tene yin tham chi la yang tene te sewa chimbu ji su zung lo jewa te ni ji chimbu te tene la da lai ngo ni ji ngo ta ba la ye ba tene la da ni ji la so ba yu su so ta ti sa chi ti na tene ten yo re.
And so that is all of the sections up to the 7th point of these 18 points. And then we get to the 18th point. And the 18th point actually has five internal points to it. And so these 5 internal points are not just drawn from the secret mantra Vajrayana, but they're also taught from the perspective of the sutras and the common teachings. And so primarily among them, what is taught here is taught in the second section, and that is how the basis for the emptiness is the ultimate God or the ultimate deity and ultimate compassion, and so how they are present within that. And so here, what it is primarily saying is that all phenomena are emptiness, but the basis for that emptiness has the aspect of qualities. It is the Buddha nature that has the aspect of qualities. And that can arise in terms of the sutra, what it said in the sutras. This can arise in the form of a deity. And what we mean here by a deity is someone who can help us, someone who can protect us, who can protect us from suffering and harm, someone who has that potential. And so that is what is meant here by saying it is the essence of deity. And then when we are able to help ourselves in that way, not only can we help ourselves, but we are also able to see the situations of others, and from that we develop compassion. So we develop the great compassion for others. And so in this way, the compassion is also present. And so this is discussing how the deity and the compassion are present within this.
Tene tate number tapa imbecherna perna ta jinkhurge yayi kon taba je le na ya kawa judu ye pandabota yedam jala khahi le sho judu ye pandab tate tongni judu sensi ta tongni judu ngo taba tongni judu te tomba tongchong jing me pa ma yin pa yedam jala ye number la chartupa taba ta tene ta te tabo la soba jitang ke tongni tomba ni de tene lada tene niji ngo la chartupa ke number tabo songyo la ta teji so sachi sumba te la kari songyo se na ta ni pombe uma yepa tabo songyo 다 ngaransu 타니 pombo oma yebar sunga te kandere se na ngaransu ge susuchi wo tamal be nongchala kari hyage yore se na yang na yeba mayina mebare di ni ngungal se gerela di ni ngungal in bichna di ni partala kanya yomare yang na yeba yang na meba teni di ni partala kanya meba di ni rete yena ya teni yang topic nelu go on de sena yeba to meba ni den tare la di ni partala uya pare teni ude tanda teni ta yeng de hisong du ju ge nelu de yeba yin becherna teni de ta ni dang talwi ge ude la yeba la ten yo re so.
And so because this is utterly pure, when we see the appearances of the palaces of the deities, or we visualize the palaces of the deities, sometimes we visualize the palaces as having 16 columns, or sometimes when we visualize the deity will have 16 hands. And what is the reason for the deity having 16 hands or there being 16 columns? The reason is because it is like a symbol of the 16 emptinesses. It is the essence of the 16 emptinesses. This means is that when you have emptiness, it's not just mere emptiness, it's not just blank nothingness, but rather the Yidam deity is able to appear. There is the power for the Yidam deity to be able to appear. And so that emptiness is able to appear as the deity and as compassion. In the next section, the third of these sections, it talks about how we need to find the middle that eliminates both of the extremes. And so when we talk about finding the middle that eliminates both of the extremes, what do we mean here? What do we mean by the two extremes? Well, ordinarily, we ordinary sentient beings, when we think about something, well, we think that if something exists, then it can't possibly not exist, and if it does not exist, then it can't possibly exist. And we think that these two are a complete exclusion and that there's no third alternative. There's nothing in the middle between these two ends. Either something is or it is not, and there's no third alternative. But actually, in terms of how the real nature truly is, we have the extremes of existence and non-existence, and there's the middle in between of them. And that middle in between them is the union of the expanse and wisdom. This is the nature of the way the union of the expanse and wisdom is. And so in that way, this is the middle that is free from the two extremes.
Tene ta tige tanda jepatela sachi nga yepate hyune ta tiji so sachi gubatela tene shonju ji su ji chusun ji zading 대양 되네 단다 지당 그 나라서 람드베 가서라 송주주지 추순지 자된 용기 와라라 송주주지 추순지 자된 세드 템바니 와리 잡아 예 용답 뽕아 예 전주지 공바 예 라소바다 림바인들라 요래라 니 대양 당보 대라 가리강기 와레세나 템바니 와리 잡아 예 되니 대양 단다 나라서 nangba sanji bi chu go on de sena tene terawada ge lusola temba nyawari ga ba ye zor gong ge yor lu temba nyawari ga ba sorwa temba nyawari ga ba sem temba nyawari ga ba chu temba nyawari ga ba de gong ge yor la temba nyawari yodu ye bi jun sen de kan de sena jitang ge chuni de yin ye de la tamji la chapa yin ba da chuni de yin ye de ya salcha yi hi jin nam ba tan temba yin bi cherna tene sem temba nyawari ga ni gong ju ba 다 디게 때라와다 그 루솔라 데워히 빈보 여바 숭게 요아레베세나 디숭게 나라 학 고마송테 예나야 데네 검두 텔라 디고 디타인도 냠버가네 디 띵엔세 제버지 투지라 펠기 요아레라 데네 존시 티처나 담바니 워리 요바 예 데네 담바니 워리 요바 예 제소 용답 pon예 데 쩐주징오다 tene zuntuji komba yete tingyen zenji ngo ta tene de yendo ombo nga top nga ta rimba yendo koni konten perwe kitsul shonju je soji chusun ji za ding nang song yo re.
And so that is, in a nutshell, the 5 different sections of the 8th point, the 8th of the 18 points. And then now we've come to the 9th point. And the 9th point talks about the 37 factors of enlightenment. So the 37 factors of enlightenment are things that come along as we progress along the path. These are the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 right abandonments, the 4 feats of miracles, and so forth. And so what, in the beginning, what is the first of these? What is the 4 foundations of mindfulness? Well, the 4 foundations of mindfulness in terms of the Buddhist tradition, of the internal Buddhist tradition, is primarily what the Theravada practitioners practice. It is their main meditation. They practice the foundation of mindfulness of body, the foundation of mindfulness of feeling, the foundation of mindfulness of mind, and the foundation of mindfulness of dharmas. And so this is their primary motivation. And what is the reason that they can do this meditation? Well, the reason is that everything is permeated by the nature, by the Dharma nature and thatness. And that Dharma nature and thatness has the aspect of clarity. And so because there is that aspect of clarity, then we are able to place the mind on this foundation of mindfulness. And so that is how this is supported by the Buddha nature. Now, when the Theravadins practice the 4 foundations of mindfulness, do they teach about the Buddha nature? Well, I can't really say that for sure. I don't know whether they do or not. But actually, in terms of how they're meditating, they are meditating upon the basis of that clear aspect of the Buddha nature. And because of that, they are able to develop excellent samadhi within their beings and really develop their meditation. And so that is how they meditate upon the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And then following that, there are the 4 correct abandonments. And these are, in essence, diligence. And then following that, there are the 4 feet of miracles. These are, by nature, samadhi. And then there are also the 5 faculties, the 5 strengths, and so forth. So gradually you go up, and they improve through all the 37 factors. And so in this way, we have the 37 different factors of enlightenment.
Tene ta tanda de jeso ombo nga tong top nga sung arela ombo nga tong top nga sung du te la depa zendru tempa tingen zain hira de namba nga ta ti zo lam nyang se lembe ka so la tene zo depa go gre depa la tene zendru yung gi ra la zendru ya po ji se na tempa ta tene tanda tingen zain yung gre 다 대탐지 자와 가리 그거 요아래서는 히랍 그거 hirab la tene ta ti depa la tene hirampel zendru la tene hirampel tene trempa la tene hirampel tingenzan la tene hirampel te tene zo hirampel go yore hirab la kare yore se na hirab la cher tuzung gi hiraton songzung gi hiraton gangjung gi hirase yore la tene tegi nani tuzung gi hirab la tene songzung gi hirampel songzung gi hirab la tene gangjung gi hirampel ne tene komperto rogu pa yimbe cherna gangjung gi hirab sedu jeyo me ba jela kogrebi sina mare te sarwa yi hiji namba ta demba jela ta tangbo susu jiwe neka la hirab ke namba ta tene papa sato pe kasala yi hiji namba hirge yore la yi hiji namba hirwa te tene tige tene yela yepe yi hiti hirgu ke yore la tene junsin teacher na tene ta rimba yendolo tongbo ombo nga tene ombo nga te kone kondon perdu top nga tene pe top chimbo la chorni tene pangza tenzu jam tupu ke nupa tang tenpa yonya te la top nga ta tene sunga yore wa.
And so the next ones are the five faculties and the five strengths. And so these are both faith, diligence, mindfulness, samadhi, and prajna, or in English we could say full knowing, perhaps. I'll repeat them for those of you who are taking notes. Faith, diligence, mindfulness, samadhi, and full knowing or prajna. And so these five are, when we are practicing, doing our meditation practice, first of all, we have to have faith. And then because we have that faith, then we develop diligence. Then because we have diligence, if we have good diligence, then, or if we have good diligence, then we develop mindfulness and we develop samadhi meditation. And then the primary thing, the most important thing that we need is to have the prajna, to have the full knowing. And so these all help develop our full knowing, develop our prajna. And so because we have faith, that faith will help develop our prajna. The diligence will help develop our prajna. Our mindfulness will help develop our prajna. And so and our meditation will also help us develop the prajna. And so these are all primarily ways to develop our prajna, our full knowing, our way to discriminate and know what things are. For that reason, we need to develop this prajna. And when we develop prajna, we have particularly the three different types of this full knowing or prajna. We have that born of listening, the full knowing born of contemplation, and that born of meditation. And so first, because we listen, then we develop the wisdom of listening. And then because of that, we develop the prajna of contemplation. And then because through that prajna of contemplation, we then can develop the prajna of meditation. And then when we develop that prajna of meditation, well, is that just blank nothingness? It is not just blank nothingness. It has the nature of clear wisdom. And so when we are ordinary individuals, this has the quality of being our full knowing, our prajna. And then when we become a noble being, it will become wisdom. And so the basis, there's a basis for the wisdom to appear. And so that is how it happens. And so we need to meditate upon these. And as we meditate, they will all gradually get stronger. These five elements will all gradually get stronger. And so the five faculties will all gradually get stronger. And as they get stronger and develop, they become the five powers. So the five powers are the same in name as the five faculties. But they are more developed. They're stronger. They are able to defeat all of the things that we need to get rid of within ourselves. They have the power to be able to do that.
다 ombo top nga yeso teni ndo khahi gna la popolon yan la ji ndo khahi gna la songju ji yan la dai ta de jirung la song yo re de yin yan tanda tam popolon yan la ji dong songju ji long yan la dai de pa ji ji ba da bo ji la tam popolon yan la ji zor ji be kapsula teni popolon yan la ji ge zawa de kan de se na yung top tawa to yung top topa sung gi warela yung top tawa se du tini ta de la hirap hirab chepartam papate tene ta tige chutam chi nelu manurwar top hirab tene tela tene topati yong topati jithop che kapsula tene zepatam trinitam chi jong tu nipatam temba topa yong tawatam topa yong tawatam topati kanin junga yore sene yong zorwa ta zendru la tene junga yore zendru la tene junga jaitan tene tela tene tingen zen je on de sena yong tremba tam yong tingen zen jungi yore la ta tige tsawa ti yong tawa hirab la kogo yore hirab ti chuni ge nelu chetawa yin de bi yi sarcha ka chala tene zo tene tongcha zom mayin ba sarcha o ma yin to tawa tar to hirab de yi ji namba la char ge yore la ta tige pento kari yungi yore sena tene ngaran so la kanga la tanda tene ta je susu ge longga ndabote tsendi ge sawan ndaboje yina ya tene ta karisi guresen yong top nga tene kecha hina ya kecha yabo hi thunge yong top lenta tene leka kari lena ya yang top drup thunge tene ta tanda yong top nga lenta yong top choa tene ta tanda ngaran chu choa te choa yang takpa yimba te yin la nepi ke choa ma yimba rang la pembe ke choa yimba yin la yang pembe ke choa yimba tene se ku nor long che kan yin na ya tamchi drup tupa te ya tene migewe sawala tene samba ma yimba yong ta pe lenta ta tene te popolon yang la ji sungi yore la tene popolon yang la ji tige tsawa te kandiri sena tene ye dewari hi bingimbi nelu tope yong tape tawa la andogi yore yong tape tawa la tene pento kari yungi yore sena tene yong tape nga lentan tsoa se du ta ten tsoa te yong tape nga lentan tsoa som te tanda tene tsin diga onde sena ya jitin diga onde sena ya yulkam ndala pento pe nga lentan tsoa tene rang la pempe nga lentan tsoa tene tetabu jongtuba ta tetabu la tene tsawi ge dewarki bi nimbu ge nelu jetawa yin topa ge penda ta tene samwa re
In the 37 factors of enlightenment, following the 5 faculties and the 5 powers, in some scriptures it says that next comes the Noble Eightfold Path, and in some scriptures it says that next comes the 7 branches of enlightenment. In other scriptures it's the other way around, but here there's not a whole lot of difference here. They're really pretty much similar in essence, but here if we take the Noble Eightfold Path first, what is this at root? The real root of the Noble Eightfold Path is right view and right realization. And so what do we mean by right view? Right view here we mean the real strong, superior type of wisdom, the real superior type of discrimination or full knowing, the prajna here. And this is the discrimination that knows the way things are without any mistake. And then through knowing that, there comes the right realization. And so because then you have the right realization, in your post-meditation time, you are able to perform deeds and activity that is really beneficial. And so here, this is the right view and the right realization. And then when we have these, how do they come about? Well, they really come about because of the right effort. So right effort means the good diligence, the right sort of diligence. And then if we have the right sort of diligence, we will be able to develop our meditation. And so that will lead us to have the right mindfulness and the right samadhi. But what is the root of all of these? The root of all of this is the right view, because if we have the right view, then we will be able to develop the diligence and develop the others. And so in this way, the right view, the prajna that knows the Dharma nature just as it is this as the clear aspect of wisdom. This is not just mere emptiness, but rather it is the it has the aspect of taking the form of this knowledge, the full knowing, and the wisdom. And so what is the benefit of all of this? Well, the benefit of all of this is that we all, each individual, we need to do things that are beneficial for us. We need to, and so what is it that we need to do for us to really bring benefit to ourselves? Well, one of the things we need to do is we need to have right speech. And right speech means that we always speak well. We speak nicely. We say nice things to people. We don't speak harshly or badly. And then we also need to have the right action. And so if we have the right action, then all the work that we will do will become beneficial, will be helpful for us. Everything that we do will turn out well. And then we also need to have the right livelihood. Now, what do we mean by a right livelihood? We mean a livelihood that is not going to harm anyone else. Livelihood that will not harm anyone else, but rather a livelihood that will benefit ourselves, and a livelihood that will benefit others. And so this is a livelihood that will help us gain the food and clothing and everything that we need. But do this in a way that does not involve doing anything non-virtuous. And so that is what we mean by the right livelihood. And so these are the eight of the eightfold, the noble path. And so, but what is the root of the eightfold noble path? It is the right view that realizes the Dharma nature as it is. And so, in this way, if we have this right view, then we will have the speech, and we will have the action and the livelihood that will be beneficial for this life, beneficial for the world, beneficial for our country. And in this way, since it is beneficial for all that, it will be beneficial for ourselves, and we will be able to develop all that. And so the root of all of that happening is the wisdom that is able to realize the Buddha nature. And so it is very beneficial really very beneficial for us to develop that. So let's say that's enough for today, isn't it? And perhaps we should do a bit of meditation.
Da